Beep, beep. What is up, ninjas? My name is Sam World, and last week on Friday I released the Darkbass Volume 2 pack, and one of you asked a comment on how to nail the drums that MPH uses in his tracks. Now, MPH is a producer releasing on Nightbass with a very fresh style that I really enjoy, so I tried to mimic what he does in his tracks and made this tutorial for you guys, so I hope that it helps you guys out. As always, guys, if you want to support the channel, make sure to head over to evilsounds.com, where you can find the brand new Darkbass Volume 2 sound set that's there to kind of give you the sound of the Nightbass label, as well as some other fresh UK bassline kind of tracks. With that being said, let's get straight into this video. Alright guys, welcome inside of Ableton. So the first thing we're going to do is just lay down the basic beat, which is going to include your open hat, your kick, and your clap. From there, I'm going to go to 132 BPM, as this is the BPM that you're going to see a lot of the MPH tracks being formed right now on the Nightbass label. So with the basic pattern, we're going to have something cool. But from there, it's time to get into the fun stuff, which is the stuff that kind of gave me problems. Now, the first one we're going to do here is the closed hat rhythm. And what I found with this, it's a lot easier to set up a basic pattern that we know of, which is the 116, and then hit it with a bit of swing. So that's all I'm going to do here. I'm going to pick a closed hat from the Darkbass pack and go from there. Okay, so once I have my closed hat, we're just going to do that 116 pattern, just 16, and we all know this is what we're going to kind of do for it. Now, from there, I am going to kind of deduct a bit of the sounds to kind of get something a little more swingy, but I just want to set this up so I can hit with the swing that I'm going to be using, as this is the key to really nailing these sort of groovy, very fast-paced sort of beats that you've been hearing. I personally like Funklate on the 116, which is going to give you something when you commit that's going to look like this. And as you can see, what happens with swing is that we get a bit of velocity changes, which makes closed hats sound alive. But at the same time, we also get a bit of that swing, which is generally going to have to deal with stuff not landing on the beat, as you can see. So other ones that we can kind of go with, and again, you can experiment, but the 16s are very popular to kind of use in this sort of stuff. So we can kind of go with something very heavy. Once you have that, let's say you like it, we can commit that, and from there, we can kind of start to just ease up a little bit on the... and get something of sorts. You can see a repeat, so now we can kind of... So it's sort of like... it sounds very funky, so that's the cool thing. And from there, you can kind of say, okay, on the offbeat, I don't want this to happen just because that's when my clap hits. And if you know anything about the 909 drum machine, you'll realize that on the open hat, there'd be sort of like a gate. So when the closed hat hit, the open hat wouldn't play. So we can kind of do and have fun with that. Now, in the track that I referenced for this, which was Close Your Eyes by, again, by MPH, there was, it was constantly playing. So I feel like that's what we're going to kind of go with. And we're just going to bring this back here because that's what we want. Constant groove, and now we have that, and from there you can play around with the sound. But once we have this, we have something a little bit better. Now let's assume that you're like, okay, Sen, I like that, but I do want to apply it to other stuff. Then what I recommend you do is you consolidate your loops in Ableton, like your open hat, and you can always apply the same swing to it, as you can see, which is going to give me a bit of change. Okay, now what's going to really make this come to life is going to be the additive drum shots that we're going to use. So in this kind of stuff, they use a lot of rim shots from snares, as well as percussion. So that's what we're going to do and just have fun. So from here, I'm going to pick some rim shots. I think that one's a really tasteful one. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about crazy stuff. We can maybe go with that. And let's get some perks. I really like this one as a shot to kind of signify a change. And as well as this one. We'll see if we even use them. Now from here, this is where it gets interesting. So I'm going to follow the same format MPH does. So usually on the first hit of a Nightbass beat, you're going to have like a whomp or like a bass, an additive bass shot. So we're going to kind of open that up where it's going to be kick and then get straight into the beat. And this guy's going to go here. So that way the clap starts it. Okay, and from there, now we can kind of have a little bit of fun with this. So We can start with the rim shots, and again, we want to go with the swing here. And now that you understand what swing is doing by not landing here, but instead landing a little bit ahead, we can kind of start to play around. What I like to do is just set this to maybe 116, so that way I can put it anywhere in between, and from there just go with the flavor. The other thing you can do is you can also set up the beat yourself, like on the grid, and then utilize the same swing parameter we have. So for instance, if I want okay, let's assume that, then I can come in with the 116 and apply it, and you're gonna see we're gonna get something of similar. And that's what's gonna give me that really nice sort of flavor, like swingy, like swag, not to follow the rules, but more like let's break the rules. Now, here's where it gets more interesting. One, what MPH does a lot is that he'll kind of have a bit of variety in the rim shots as well as perks. So instead of doing the same one, or we might do this, we can as you can see there. So we can kind of do a combination of that so it doesn't get boring. So we'll start maybe with the snare, the rim shot doing this. And then I'll have one here on beat. And I like that. So from there, we're going to do it again. But this time, we can maybe change it. So that's going to... Okay, and then we can kind of move that forward. Now, the other thing too is we can add anywhere else where we feel like it might improve the groove. So for instance, even here, just again. And then maybe here, have fun with this, down, and then just repeat. And that's how we get like those. Now we can move that along. This one's a bit, yeah. And then at the end of here, we can have this sort of C part to the whole beat where we kind of work our way back into the loop, which he does really well. So we can kind of get rid of the hat. And what's going to happen here is now the claps are going to accentuate the beat of the kick. And accentuation occurs where everything plays that. As you can see there, we get this sort of very cool kind of thing. And we're going to move this like so. Just get rid of that. Okay, and from there, we're going to kind of get even more fancy here by going into 1/32. And then we can do this. And I believe it's... I like that. And then we're going to work back. And then from there, let's add a cymbal to this. But as you can see, the most important thing that we've been doing that you wouldn't do in other genres is the amount of swing that we are applying to all of this. That's what makes these beats sound the way they do. And what honestly gave you the most issues is just replicating that and trying to find the right one. So from here, we're just going to use this, reverse it so that we get this sort of cool thing where it just reverses back into itself like so. And then just kind of have it shaped by going into this format. Let's lower the volume on that. And then we go back into it. Now, like so. And then this one, we're just going to... And then from there, I do want to play around with maybe some stuff. And let's add maybe the clap. Swing this well. And there we go. And then maybe we can transpose this down just a bit and lower the volume on it. So that way we get that nice sort of vibe to it. And now we're starting to sound cool. Now from there, let's add like a vocal because we do need those. And I'll use one from the pack, like something.
Flow shake.
Guest list.
I don't want to know what you did.
Yep. I think this one's just very additive. And the other cool stuff that we can actually do is that we can start to add like delay and stuff to some of these if you really want that sound to kind of make them sound just a little bit unique. So I did make a video about this for Tech House, but we can apply it here as well, like where maybe some of these drums can get like something like a crunch slap, which I believe it's going to be applied on the wrong one. Let's see. There we go, but we can do it maybe. And just find one that sounds pleasing. And the reason this works so well is because what you're doing with this Echo Boy is essentially creating new source material that is altering the way that that snare sounds, but it fits because it's coming from something in the song. And here I'm just kind of getting rid of the as you can see. And it adds a, you just gotta find a good. Okay, from there, let's put a bass loop from the pack just for fun to see how it's gonna sound like. There's one I have my eyes on already for this. I think it's like. Okay, so I think that sounds very tasteful and stuff. Now, from here, the last thing is that you can definitely bring the drums together just by adding a hint of reverb, and the way that you mix is also going to affect a lot of this. So one of the things I noticed with the closed hats, if we want to take it that further, because I don't think you need to do it, is that there was a bit of a EQ that was just kind of clamping down on this. So it's more, how would you say it, more numb. Preset I always put high detail compress. Other things you can do is obviously we know we have our clap, so we can have effects like certain kind of reverbs and stuff on certain hits, certain spots to just make the beat just sound a little more dynamic, full, like there's changes that occur constantly to it. So from here we can kind of have like a very nice plate that we can automate in on the clap. We're just gonna go show automation on this guy. So if we hear the beat, you can also put like dedicated reverb on stuff if you feel like you want it. I wouldn't say do it, depending on how dry you want your track to be. But if we want it for this guy. So. And again, here, double kick, we can shorten this. Or even just do like the double. And that's how you're going to go about in getting these kind of grooves, guys. But as always, if you want to support the channel, you can head over to evilsounds.com, guys. Again, I think the more important thing is just the swing characteristic of all of this that we're doing. You can also apply swing on the clap and on the kick if you wanted to. But again, I think that's a little more out there to do. But as long as you understand this and you understand that being on the grid sometimes is not the right thing to do in these kind of tracks, I think you guys understand how you can achieve a similar groove in your own way. And at the end of the day, guys, it all comes down as well to sound selection, the kind of sounds you're picking. You don't have to go with rim shots. You can go with snares and stuff. But most important of all, once you know how to do this, is to have fun, since it's being demystified a little bit for you.